Welcome. This is Micah Fairchild, Editor-in-Chief of HRLab.com, and today our focus is on SAP. More specifically, we're going to be looking into the ins, outs, strengths, and weaknesses of SAP's on-premise ERP HCM solution. And to assist me in getting down into the nitty-gritty of this application, I'm calling upon my colleague, Chuck Schaefer, the CEO of Vantive Media, to help guide this discussion. Hey, Chuck, thanks for joining us. How are you?
Very well, thanks. And looking forward to talking about SAP's on-premise HCM solution and maybe even squeezing in some time to discuss success factors. And I'd like to get your take on that latest news.
Me too, and hopefully we're gonna get some time for that. SAP's acquisition of SuccessFactors has a lot of implications for the company, especially with regards to their cloud strategy. So I'd like to get to that too if we have time. But let's start off by getting into some more specifics on SAP's ERP HCM solution. Off the bat, here's what I like. One, they've got talent management capabilities that even Gartner Research lauds them for being native and integrated into the Business Suite product. Two, they've got a pricing model that, while as complex and difficult to understand as many of the other major vendors, it's based on named users. And that's a feature that should be especially appealing to those companies that are looking to upgrade to applications outside of HCM like financials or ERP. And finally, SAP's analytics functionalities are simply off the charts in terms of how robust they are, particularly in the data visualization arena. So what about you? What are the things about the SAP solution that jumps out to you?
Well, I wouldn't disagree with you at all about the capabilities you've just named, but that last point about analytics is probably the thing I note as being SAP's strong suit. I mean, other than the over 600 packaged reports and 90 plus prepackaged key performance indicators, SAP owns the now ubiquitous Crystal reports, which of course allows for multiple data connections and customized report building, as well as business objects, which offers the enterprise tools like their analysis function, predictive workbench, dashboards, and Explorer, functionality that wields what few competitors in the HR technology world can: data mining, data warehousing, and predictive analytics, all built with an OLAP platform that has been specifically designed so that HR, financial, and business analysts can easily use it without having to rely on IT resources. And of course, we can't forget HANA, their newest in-memory analytics tool, which has had a big impact on shortening the processing time required to get these business insights. And finally on this point, all of these workforce insights leverage a single platform which uses a common semantic layer, security, and delivery tool. I know I might be belaboring this point, but this kind of business intelligence functionality is rarely seen in the HR software space, and to me is a high-impact capability that makes SAP stand out.
You're right. That is definitely a key differentiator for SAP, especially when you think about just how many businesses out there are needing that workforce intelligence and how many vendors right now are touting their analytics capabilities without really being able to deliver.
You're absolutely right, and just look at the adoption and traction of workforce planning software right now. Businesses without these capabilities that SAP provides are having to search for bolt-on solutions that still really can't give them what SAP can because they're not fully integrated into the actual solution. Now, this one advantage shouldn't suggest that SAP is the best HR solution out there right now, especially since there aren't really that many key differences in SAP's on-premise feature sets for HRMS as compared to other major players like Infor, Oracle, Sage, Ultimate, and Workday. But it is a solid application that most large enterprises should consider.
That's a good point. There really aren't that many substantive differences, are there? They've pretty much all got a solid system of record. They've got some great talent management functions like recruitment, performance, learning. But it's these areas like business intelligence that we've just mentioned where the vendors really start to separate. That and, of course, the areas where improvement is needed. For instance, with SAP's on-premise HCM solution, one of the major bones of contention for customers is price. Aside from that gargantuan upfront investment that's pretty much part and parcel with that deployment model of on-premise, Even Gartner suggested that the company's solutions net higher efforts and costs when customers go outside the prepackaged version and look for customizations and enhancements.
Yeah, SAP is a big investment for sure in terms of acquisition, deployment, and post-implementation operational cost. And the complexity of their solution, which many customers indicate lengthens their implementation time and cost, also has more than a few companies questioning whether you have to have SAP insider knowledge just to effectively run the application. What's interesting to me, though, is the fact that we're even privy to this kind of potentially adverse information, which I think is a testament to how open SAP has really become. I mean, take their SAP Mentor Network, for example. Sometimes I think I see more negative comments coming from this group than positive ones about SAP, and they're not censored in the slightest. That shows confidence, transparency, and a commitment to customers and partners, and it's refreshing for a company that is as big as SAP.
I wouldn't argue. It's definitely a sharp contrast, too, when you look at companies like Oracle and Ultimate, who work extremely hard to keep control over their negative commentary. I think the impetus for this is that SAP has had a gut check about where their solution is weak and feels like there's no reason to hide that. They've got a mountain of technical debt, and until recently, they really haven't had that much in terms of innovation either. I think we're just now starting to see SAP turn over a new leaf, and I, for one, am pretty excited about it.
That's true, and I think that the latest acquisition of SuccessFactors is a big step in the right direction. After all, SAP has put over 300 folks to work on finishing up the core HR cloud solution, Employee Central, that SuccessFactors had been working on pre-acquisition, and will be seriously pushing that for new customers and looking at a hybrid approach for existing ones. Of course, that means career on demand is effectively dead, but that sometimes happens with disruptive technologies, software innovation, and mergers and acquisitions.
That's exactly right, and good point. And it looks like we got to cover a bit of SuccessFactors element after all. But it also looks like we're coming down to the end again. So is there anything else you'd like to add before we go?
I suppose I'd add just a couple of things. First, I've mentioned this in the past, but I think it's important for HR software buyers to align and compare prioritized features directly with organizational requirements. I spoke of SAP's business intelligence capabilities earlier, but the benefits gained from those capabilities may not necessarily apply to your business due to company size, industry vertical, organizational issues, or your business requirements. Keep that in mind before you potentially become enamored with any particular feature set. Second, and jumping off from that first point, I think businesses looking at the landscape of potential solutions need to have a firm understanding of total cost of ownership, or TCO. You mentioned SAP's very high acquisition cost earlier, but that holds true across the board for on-premise HCM applications. This doesn't necessarily mean, however, that over the long term, that on-premise HCR solutions will wind up with a higher price tag. Anyone in this industry for more than a few years comes to understand that countless factors go into TCO, so due diligence is needed at the outset to find out exactly what you're really getting and what you'll be paying for given a specific solution or deployment model.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for helping us out with that CEO insight, Chuck. And to all you viewers out there, thank you too for joining us for our talk on SAP today. Make sure you check back in with us next time as we look at more of the top HCM solutions and continue our examination of the intersection of HR strategies, processes, and technology.